Once, in a small, sun-drenched Indian village, nestled among rolling hills and green fields, lived a man named Sushil. From the outside, his home looked like any other, simple and humble. But inside, hidden away, were chests filled with gold and jewels. Sushil was the richest man in the village, yet he was also the most miserable. His heart was as tightly shut as his treasure chests. He was known far and wide not for his wealth, but for his stinginess. Every day was a battle for Sushil. He would sit in a dimly lit room, his fingers tracing the cold outlines of his coins, his face etched with worry. "More," he would mutter to himself. "I must save more." This obsession consumed him. He denied himself even the simplest pleasures. He ate just enough to survive, and his family, including his kind and patient wife, Nirmala, often went to bed with their stomachs rumbling. His treasure grew, but his happiness withered away, like a flower denied sunlight and water. He believed his gold was his security, but in reality, it was his cage, isolating him from the warmth and joy of the world around him. One bright afternoon, as Sushil was walking through the village, the sweet, fragrant aroma of cardamom and saffron filled the air. He followed the scent to a neighbor's courtyard where a group of children were laughing, their faces beaming with delight as they savored bowls of creamy, sweet rice. A sharp pang of longing struck Sushil. Oh, how he craved a taste of that delicious treat. The memory of its flavor from his own childhood flooded his mind. But just as quickly, another thought pushed it away. The thought of the cost. The rice, the sugar, the milk, the precious spices, it was all too much. He turned away, his heart heavy with a desire he refused to fulfill. Later that evening, he sat silently in a corner of his house, his mood darker than the approaching night. Nirmala, his wife, noticed his troubled expression. She approached him gently, her voice soft with concern. "What is wrong, my husband? You have been quiet all evening. Are you feeling unwell?" Sushil sighed, a long, drawn-out sound of self-pity. He couldn't bring himself to look at her. "It's nothing," he grumbled, but Nirmala persisted. "Please, tell me. Sharing a worry can make it lighter." Finally, Sushil burst out, his voice a frustrated whisper. "I saw the neighbors eating sweet rice today. I want some, I truly do. But if I ask you to make it, then you will want some. The children will want some, and soon the whole family will be feasting. I simply cannot afford such an expense. It would be a ruinous waste of our money." Nirmala looked at her husband, her heart aching not for the sweet rice, but for the poverty of his spirit. How could a man with so much feel so poor? Sushil's obsession with saving every last coin grew worse each day. He would pace around his property, his mind constantly calculating and worrying. It was on one such day, as he walked aimlessly through the fields, that God, watching from above, decided it was time to teach him a much-needed lesson. In a shimmer of divine light, God took on the exact appearance of Sushil. This divine double then walked confidently up to Sushil's house, where Nirmala was tending to her chores. "My dear wife," the disguised God announced, in a booming, cheerful voice that was very unlike the real Sushil's. "Today, we shall celebrate. Go and invite the entire village. Tell them to come to our home and take whatever they desire from my treasure house. Let our wealth bring joy to everyone." Nirmala was stunned, but a smile spread across her face. Had her husband finally seen the light? Without a moment's hesitation, she ran to spread the incredible news. Soon, The house was filled with the joyous chatter of villagers, men, women, and children who had known only Sushil's stinginess, now entered his treasure room with wide-eyed wonder. They couldn't believe their luck. They took clothes, grain, and a few coins, enough to ease their hardships. The house, once a silent tomb of hoarded wealth, was now alive with laughter and gratitude. Just then, the real Sushil returned from his walk. His jaw dropped. He saw his neighbors streaming out of his house, their arms laden with his precious belongings, his treasures, his life's work. A wave of fury washed over him. "Thieves! Robbers!" he screamed, his voice cracking with rage. "What is the meaning of this? How dare you steal from me?" The villagers stopped, confused. One of the elders stepped forward. "But Sushil, you yourself invited us. You told us to take what we needed." Another man pointed towards the house. "Look, your double is still there." Sushil stormed into the house and confronted the man who looked exactly like him. In that moment of utter confusion and anger, the divine being revealed his true form. A brilliant light filled the room, and Sushil fell to his knees, trembling. God's voice echoed, gentle yet firm. "Sushil, your wealth was meant to be a blessing, but you turned it into a curse. You starved your own family and ignored the needs of your neighbors. See how much joy your generosity, even for a single day, has brought? This is the true purpose of wealth." The divine light faded, leaving Sushil alone in his now emptier treasure room. But for the first time, he didn't feel the panic of loss. Instead, a deep sense of shame washed over him. He saw the faces of his hungry children, the worried eyes of his wife, the struggling neighbors he had always ignored. God's words echoed in his soul. He had been a fool, hoarding metal and stones while starving his own heart of love and connection. He looked at his hands, which had only ever clutched and counted, and realized they were meant for giving. Nirmala came and stood beside him, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. She had witnessed everything. Her eyes were not filled with blame, but with hope. "He is right, my husband," she said softly. "Our true treasure is not in these chests. It is in the smiles we can create and the burdens we can lighten. Now, let us truly live. Let us share our wealth and our happiness with others." A genuine smile, the first in years, touched Sushil's lips. He took his wife's hand and nodded. From that day forward, Sushil became a changed man. The doors of his house and his heart were thrown wide open. He used his wealth to build a well for the village, to provide food for the hungry, and to help anyone in need. He learned to laugh with the children as they enjoyed sweet rice, a treat he now made sure was plentiful for all. He discovered that the clinking of coins was a hollow, lonely sound compared to the music of a grateful heart. Sushil learned the most valuable lesson of all, that true wealth is not what you keep, but what you give away. His generosity filled the void that his greed had created, and he finally found the happiness that had eluded him for so long. The village flourished, not just from Sushil's material gifts, but from the spirit of kindness that spread from his example. Families helped one another, sharing what little they had, knowing that a community that gives together grows together. The story of Sushil, the miser who became a philanthropist, was told for generations. It served as a beautiful reminder of a simple, profound truth. Remember, wealth is not measured by what we accumulate for ourselves, but by the love, kindness, and joy we share with the world. When we give to others, we don't lose anything. Instead, we open ourselves up to receive the greatest blessings of all: peace, connection, and true, lasting happiness.